Uncle Grandpa is widely regarded to be one of the most hated Cartoon Network shows. But we have to remember that the cartoon critic vocal community is only a small part of the entire whole. Most Uncle Grandpa fans were Cartoon Network enjoyers like me who watched it growing up because we actually enjoyed it. This show went on for about 4 years, and that just doesn't happen if nobody's watching it. Today, Uncle Grandpa is a well-respected brand. You have this huge community of power scalers who quit because they couldn't find a character who could beat Uncle Grandpa. He stands proud next to the other Cartoon Network icons, and he swept at the Cartoon Network Awards. As an OG Uncle Grandpa fan, it's incredible to see all this well-deserved respect. But that begs the question, do I even like Uncle Grandpa? Well, watching the show back, I can't say I wasn't enjoying it. Basically, Uncle Grandpa's everyone on Earth's uncle and grandpa, and he helps people out in the weirdest way possible. But in the end, it always works out in some way. Uncle Grandpa lives in an RV with his friends Pizza Steve, Mr. Gus, Bellybag, and Giant Realistic Flying Tiger. You also have Tiny Miracle and Frankenstein who don't show up as often. Now, as you'll notice, this RV is confusing. There are a lot of things in this show that people like to call magical, but the truth is that this is just higher dimensional reality that us humans cannot understand. But yeah, all the characters are very enjoyable and creative. The voice actors do a great job, and the animation is actually pretty impressive. It's not Smiling Friends level, but it's also a few cuts above stuff like regular show and especially Family Guy. On its own, it's not going to blow your mind, but it's pretty impressive how they're able to keep this level of quality throughout so many episodes and in so many different styles. The premise of the show is just pure fun. Not only watching Uncle Grandpa go on crazy adventures, but also watching the group go through their unique conflicts. But I couldn't help but feel like something was missing. It was enjoyable, but nothing was really grabbing me. Until Treasure Map. I am not exaggerating when I say that this is one of the best cartoon episodes ever. And to be honest, guys, this is probably my favorite cartoon episode ever. It starts with the gang having a normal dinner at Captain Blowhole's seafood restaurant. They finish their food and they realize that no one has any money to pay. So Mr. Gus reasonably concludes that they're gonna have to wash dishes, but Uncle Grandpa flips over this kid's activity page and believes it to be a treasure map. Mr. Gus is then annoyed that even on a normal night out, things always have to get weird. So the gang minus Tiger follows the treasure map, and they come across all these seemingly normal locations that match up to the weird labels of the treasure map. Uncle Grandpa and Pizza Steve genuinely believe they're on some fantasy adventure, and Mr. Gus is slowly being fed up until he eventually erupts. He tells them off about how their delusional perception of normal things is getting them in all this trouble, and then the ground opens up and they fall on a cosmic pirate ship. Captain Blowhole himself is there, and he asks the gang a question. What has no beginning, middle, or end and touches all 7 continents? Mr. Gus thinks, yo, the ocean. But Uncle Grandpa and Pizza Steve instead say it's a spaghetti fish sandwich. Despite an argument, Mr. Gus is still confident in his answer until he hesitates and says, fuck it.
Spaghetti fish sandwich? Spaghetti fish.
They get a free meal coupon which does not cover the 900 smoothies Tiger ordered while they were gone, so they still end up washing dishes. And it ends with Mr. Gus telling himself to embrace the weird. It's a simple premise with great execution. But the reason this episode sticks out to me is because of the character writing. Uncle Grandpa and Pizza Steve are at their comedic best, but we really get a great sense of who Mr. Gus is and what he thinks of the world around him. You can't just have a show where a bunch of random bullshit happens. You need something relatable to latch onto, and that's why it's so important to ground these characters in some way. We get a great sense of Gus's relationship with Uncle Grandpa, Pizza Steve, and even Tiger, who actually feels like a real being in this episode. Treasure Hunt is truly the ultimate Uncle Grandpa episode. It starts out with the characters facing a relatable problem, and then they go on an adventure for some outlandish, weirdo solution, all while characterizing them in a very natural way. It's honestly reminiscent of regular show, but I think the reason it works better here is because the weirdness is a core idea of Uncle Grandpa. And that's why when seeing how Mr. Gus responds to it, it feels that much more impactful to the series as a whole. This episode retroactively makes some of the previous episodes even better. Uncle Grandpa isn't supposed to be anything insanely profound. It very intentionally coats itself behind a layer of irony, and what makes it so fun to watch is its charm and its confidence in what it is. This is a very goofy show, and because of that, there are so many over-the-top characters and locations. It creates such a fun atmosphere, and it's entertaining in itself to see how weird things can get. The humor is clever, there are a good amount of laugh-out-loud moments, but what I'm trying to emphasize is that this show is just a fun time. Again, with the animation, the action is a highlight. There's a great variety of different scenarios and styles. Because of how outlandish the show gets, there are so many action scenes that are genuinely captivating. But I think most of my enjoyment simply comes from the characters. Uncle Grandpa is, on the surface, a goofy, naive guy, and he does get influenced a lot in the show. But the reason it's never frustrating is because he is very pure of heart, and he ends up being right a lot of the time through some higher dimensional logic he has. But he actually was pathetic in the Moon Man episode. That's when they took it too far. But yeah, as I've said, the voice actors all do a great job, and Uncle Grandpa is no exception.
Yo, all right, let's go inside.
Watching two Uncle Grandpas interact is seriously so fun. Pizza Steve, on top of his genius design, is also a very enjoyable character. He's basically an exaggerated, insecure, cool guy. And again, because of the voice acting, the writing, and the animation, he's such a fun character to watch. Mr. Gus! The more grounded, maybe cynical character. Obviously, he looks at things from a more logical perspective, but he's also way more than just some stand-in for the viewer. He has his dinosaur wisdom and deals with his own shortcomings as a friend. Bellybag and Tiger are a lot less distinct, but still add a lot to the overall dynamic of these characters. On their own, all these characters are good, but what makes them great is how they bounce off each other and interact. And on top of their contrasting personalities, they also live together. They're a family, and so they care for each other. The focus on character relationships goes such a long way. Regular Show is a good show, but damn do some of the main characters feel disconnected. Here, it's honestly rewarding to watch these characters simply hang out. Some of the episodes have such a warm, comfortable atmosphere that I personally get a lot out of. Uncle Grandpa just has amazing characters, and the style of the show results in amazing one-off characters. When Uncle Grandpa was helping that girl learn to drive and Crazy Baby appeared, that shit was crazy. In this viewer special episode, when this goofy punk dude started drawing his heart out, that was amazing. When Uncle Grandpa's head became funny face, I just didn't even know what to say. Looking at season 1, there's just so many classics. Uncle Zombie, Pizza Steve's Diary, Prank Wars? Let me name some more. History of Wrestling, Brain Game, Jorts, Nickname, Afraid of the Dark, Viewer Special, and Mystery Noise? It's case closed. Season 1 is just incredible. A huge part of Uncle Grandpa's identity is also the fact that it includes all these shorts, as they call them, which range from Uncle Grandpa on a white background doing God knows what to full-on mini TV shows. A lot of people like Barry Nice. I just can't say the same. I am a Hotdog Person fan, so it's just hard to watch. Evil Wizard is my personal favorite. He's genius. If you guys have ever seen that Pro ZD video, he's basically that. And again, it's the over-the-top style that makes him so fun to watch. You also have Weird Man, who is such an ultra Chad superhero. Cool or dumb, cool. And then Xarna, which was honestly the most nostalgic part of the show for me. But yeah, it's a cool story with, again, really creative action. Season 1 of Uncle Grandpa is seriously a great season of cartoon TV with so many good episodes. You do have some weaker episodes than others, but it's always at least good. And then you watch Wasteland, and it's like, okay, what was that? And then you watch Duck Lips. Bro, the truth is, guys, every cartoon eventually has a drop in quality. SpongeBob, after season 5. Rick and Morty, after season 4. Regular Show, after season 4. Uncle Grandpa, after season 1. I personally only watched season 1 and parts of 2 in my childhood, and I guess the drop in quality isn't that bad. There are some straight up bad episodes, but for the most part, I wouldn't say it's consistently good, but it's fine. If it's on, you're not going to want to turn it off. You might just watch it and then move on after. There are still good episodes, and season 2 has one of the best Uncle Grandpa episodes, period. Guest directed shorts with this super funny black and white part, and then this expensive looking stop motion part, which is extremely well animated. But for the most part, I feel like the show is not as smart. There aren't close to as many standout memorable moments. Eventually, they remove the intro and replace it with some baby ass shit.
Why, yes, I will have more potatoes.
They make Pizza Steve's room a pizza box, which I hate, and then they make the interior of the RV look realistic. It looks ass. It honestly feels like they've ran through the same ideas so many times to where by season 4, I feel like I'm just watching these artists go through the motions. The characters start to feel like they're just there to be themselves. The lack of narrative continuity maybe allowed for more creative freedom, but at the same time, there really wasn't anything driving Uncle Grandpa forward as time went on. I'm not saying we needed some overarching story with the villain. No. But I think the most lacking aspect of Uncle Grandpa is the absence of character growth. Some of my favorite moments in season 1 were the revealing moments of the characters. Ever since I watched the show in my childhood, I always remembered this one scene with Pizza Steve where Uncle Grandpa finds him in his bathtub and he's like,
Pizza Steve, what are you doing down here?
This is where I come to cry.
What?
I said, this is where I come to be a cool guy.
This show does a good job of characterizing these characters, but it never really progresses them. There are moments like here when Mr. Gus is driving Uncle Grandpa to get to the Cosmic Taco. This could have been a great, rewarding moment after an arc of Mr. Gus learning to trust in the weirdness, but instead it just feels like a normal ass moment. The entire show, including season 1, could probably be played at random and nothing would change. In fact, I think there's problems with how the episodes in season 1 are ordered. Like Uncle Grandpa for a day would have made more sense to happen later down the line once we really understood Uncle Grandpa. The episodes close to the end of season 5 actually had some interesting ideas. Like Mr. Gus going on a date. Maybe Mr. Gus wants to move on from his life in the RV and settle down with someone. Pizza Steve had an episode where he felt like maybe he was too immature for his age. Tiny Miracle had an episode where he wanted to be a real boy, and this one was actually pretty complete. But again, none of these ever progressed into anything. My point is that these characters had a lot of potential for satisfying conclusions, but unfortunately they really don't go anywhere. By the end of the show, I kind of just felt nothing. Is what I would say if I didn't watch the ending Exquisite Grandpa, where all the characters die? But no, listen, when I first watched this, I was like, what? And then I just moved on to the actual last episode, which was a high school episode, which I guess I'll talk about that later. But I went back to rewatch it and I was just confused. I went searching and I couldn't find anything on what the last episode even meant. I did find a YouTube comment section with everyone thinking it was like the bad ending, which I guess I'll just give my own interpretation. The episode starts out with the characters being eaten and then Uncle Grandpa wakes up. It's apparently a reoccurring nightmare, so he goes to some nose guy for answers. And as he explains the nightmare, we enter a flashback which we never leave. So the ending was in fact a memory of the dream. But that also doesn't mean that the entire episode is arbitrary. This episode runs through very emotionally charged sequences like dreams in real life, but I don't know for sure what it means. Obviously, the entire last 3 seasons were genuinely pretty artistically underwhelming, but I feel like it's fair to say that if something genuinely confuses me, it is most likely worthwhile. There's this part where Uncle Grandpa is saving Hotdog Person and then decides to kill him. This grid shows up and tells Uncle Grandpa not to do that, but Uncle Grandpa has absolutely no remorse. And then as he starts to run up these stairs, he starts to cry. And then as they're about to be eaten as a sandwich, this kid is the same kid from one of the original pilots of Uncle Grandpa. I really don't know what to make of this. I really didn't expect to feel emotionally stuck on the show like I did after finishing it. It definitely came out of nowhere, but at the same time, I'm glad the show got some sort of conclusion. The creator definitely knew this was the last one, and that's why I'm baffled by it. It's all definitely intentional, but I just don't know what to make of it. I'm really curious about what others would think of it or take away from it, even if this ending is not what I end up remembering Uncle Grandpa for. It feels heavy, but obviously season 1 is where Uncle Grandpa was at its best, and this is something different. The actual ending of the show is, I guess, a flashback of the gang as teenagers meeting each other and deciding that they're gonna live in an RV. Obviously, Uncle Grandpa and Mr. Gus are way older than any school system. Aunt Grandma was a kid that looked up to Uncle Grandpa. Mr. Gus had a line about Pizza Steve being delivered. I don't think the consistency of the lore is important, and I do prefer things to be more open-ended, especially in a show like this. This episode is definitely supposed to be taken in a more figurative sense, and I appreciate that. It is very cute. But to sum it up, guys, Uncle Grandpa was, in fact, a good show with its monstrous 50-episode season 1 filled with so many amazing moments. And while I do personally think the show didn't have much of a purpose as it went on, I know that a lot of people still really enjoyed the other seasons. And yes, of course I recommend you to watch Uncle Grandpa. It's just healthy to have such a purely fun show like this to watch. So thank you guys for watching. And thank you, Uncle Grandpa. And good morning.